কি অবিশ্বাস্য জীবন ছিল আমরা।
লাইট বিজলি এগুলো কিচ্ছু ছিল না।
আমরা একটা অন্ধকার জগতেরই মানুষ।
আমাদের বাচ্চাদেরকেও স্কুলে ভর্তি করাইতে গেলেও মিথ্যা পরিচয় দিয়ে ভর্তি করাইতে হয়।
আমাদের কোনো ডকুমেন্ট নেই, কোনো প্রশাসন নেই,
কোনো ঠিকানা ছিল না।
সিটের মধ্যে আমরা বেশি কথা বলতে পারি।
বাইরের মানুষজন আসে এদেরকে নির্যাতন করতো।
আমরা এমন একটা গৃহবন্দী হিসেবে থাকি।
তারা ছিল রাষ্ট্রহীন।
Humanity has come a long way, and maps of our world testify to this progress. Yet, as late as the 21st century, more than 54,000 people lived in a state of confusion, unsure which country they belonged to. This was not a war zone, a hostile border. These were peaceful neighbours, friends for nearly half a century, Bangladesh and India. Yet between them lay the enclaves or chit mahals. For the people who live in an enclave, life can be complicated. To whom do you turn in times of need? What do you call yourself? Who are you?
This is a very unfortunate. अगर वो सच भी बोले कि मैं बांग्लादेश से हूँ, तो वो भी झूठ होगा क्योंकि बांग्लादेश के साथ उनका कोई ताल्लुक भी नहीं है। और अगर वो बोले कि मैं इंडिया से हूँ, तो वो भी झूठ होगा। मतलब वो सीधा जाए तो भी झूठ, उल्टा जाए तो भी झूठ।
While these may have been exceptional events, living in the enclaves on the India-Bangladesh border brought daily reminders. In a time when every other urban Indian locality calls itself an enclave, what exactly does the word mean? International law defines an enclave as a country or a part of a country that is wholly within the boundaries of another country. Access is only through that surrounding country. An enclave can lie within an enclave, what we call a second-order enclave. And in one unique case of a third-order enclave, there was an enclave within an enclave within an enclave. How does it feel to be in the dark when your neighbor's home is well lit, even though all that separates you is a line on a map?
এতগুলো বছর পড়াশোনা করেছি, আমাদের লাইফে কোনো দিন বিদ্যুতের আলোয় আমরা পড়াশোনা করতে পারিনি, কারণ আমরা একটা অন্ধকার জগতেরই মানুষ।
Imagine such a situation persisting for decades, basics being denied because you were on the wrong side of a border. For some, the border difficulties took a different form.
আমরা যখন স্কুলে যেতাম, আমার অনেক দিক দিয়ে একটা খুব ভালো ছিল না যে আমরা ছিটমহলবাসী। সেটা আমার কাছে খুব খারাপ লাগছিল যে সবাই আমাদেরকে ছিটমহলবাসী বলে গালাগালিজ করে আর কি।
Bear in mind that these were yet normal things, normal times. What would happen when things didn't go right? Whose law came to your protection? Both or neither?
রাস্তা কি ইপারে হাট বন্ধ করে দেয়, রাস্তাঘাটে ধরে নিয়ে বাইরে দেখে নিয়ে মারে, ডাকাতি। এইবারে দুইবার করে ডাকাতি গেছে এইবারই।
এই এলাকাটাই ছিল অনেক সময় আমাদের অপরাধীদের আশ্রয়স্থল। এই ছিটমহলে আশ্রয় নিতেন, ফলে আমরা সেই মাদক চোরাচালান বন্ধ করতে পারতাম না।
Those enclaves were like a kind of island for them also and for us also, because there was no fencing around it. It used to be like any other village in the India. You can't enter that, but anybody in night can enter and move to and fro, because there used to be no literally no vigil.
What made it so difficult to keep track of what was where and who was who? How did this incredibly complex situation arise?
75 কোটি, জেলা ছিল রংপুর। তারপরে 47 সালে প্রশাসন ভাগ হলো তারপর পরিপ্রেক্ষিতে কুচবিহারী রাজা জগদীশ্বরনারায়ণ ভূপ বাহাদুর 1949 সালে 28শে আগস্ট দিন ভারতবর্ষে লিখিত করে দিলেন, আমি ভারতবর্ষকে সমর্থন করলাম। আর রংপুরের রাজা পাকিস্তানকে সমর্থন করলেন। সেই দিন থেকে আমরা সিটে পরিণত হলাম। এর আগে কোনো সিট ছিল না।
A popular legend puts the blame on chess. Two kings battling on the chessboard, wagering pockets of land with no thought to the consequences. It's a great story, but in fact, the enclaves were created by a series of 18th century peace treaties between the Mughal Empire and the Kingdom of Cooch Behar.
এই নকশাটা হলো আমার এই 75 কোটি 1931 সালে যে সরকার রেকর্ড করেছিল।
Sometimes, history is shaped by changes in context. The enclaves of eastern India had existed peacefully, if absurdly, for centuries. Now, they found themselves caught up in cataclysmic change. When the lines of partition were drawn, one ran right through this mess. Some enclaves became Indian, some Pakistani. Suddenly, everything was transformed.
এখন এমনই হয়েছে, বাইরে যায় না, ছিটমহলের বাইরে ধরিয়া অ্যারেস্ট করে চালান দেয়। ফেরিওয়ালা আসতেছে লবণ মরুচ হলদি কাপড় চোপড় নিয়ে, আমরাই দিয়ে যে এই যে একটা রিলেশন ছিল।
As you can expect, this created peculiar situations. Farmers had to cross a border checkpoint to work in their fields and then again to get home. School children, instead of enjoying a carefree walk, had to negotiate a border crossing twice a day. Although the affected people may have felt forgotten, the problem stayed on the table. Successive governments worked to untangle the muddle. First, the governments of India and Pakistan. Then, in 1971, another upheaval created Bangladesh. For millions, it was a time of celebration. For the enclaves, the close ties between India and Bangladesh renewed hopes of settlement. Yet, resolution proved elusive. Territory, after all, is an emotive issue, so the problem persisted well into a new century.
This agreement has been pending since 1974, when it was signed between the then Prime Ministers Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. But three elements of that agreement could not be implemented, relating to demarcation of the boundary, adverse possessions and enclaves, because of interpretations of the agreement.
One thing, however, had changed. This was a new generation, raised in the age of information. Young people in the enclaves were more aware, more insistent that every problem could be solved. Responding to the mood, the government moved to pursue matters more vigorously with Bangladesh.
ভারত বাংলাদেশ ছিটমহল বিনিময় সমন্বয় কমিটি বলে একটা কমিটি গঠন করে প্রাক্তন বিধায়ক প্রয়াত নেতা দীপক সেনগুপ্ত। তারপরে ওনার নেতৃত্বে আমরা আন্দোলন শুরু করি এবং আমি নিজেও সেই আন্দোলনের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হই। শুধু আমি না, এপাশে 51টি ছিটমহলের সমস্ত মানুষই সেই সংগঠনের সঙ্গে যুক্ত হয়।
আসলে আসমা বিবি যখন গর্ভবতী হন তখন বহুত কষ্ট হয়েছিল। আমাদের তো বাংলাদেশে হসপিটালে নেয়নি, ইন্ডিয়ান হসপিটালও নেয়নি। অনেক মা বোনও মারা গেছে গর্ভবতী অবস্থায়। তো আমরা ভাবলাম এবারে আমরা একটা জেহাদ করি।
Into this movement in 2010, a child was born in the enclave of Madhya Mashal Danga. Earlier, children had been born under false addresses, false names. But for this child, Asma was firm.
আমাদের ভাবনা ছিল যে আমরা মৃত্যু হব বা বাঁচতে হলে হবে, একটা হবেই কিছু, কিন্তু আমরা জিতেই যাব এখান থেকে।
তো আমাদের ছিটমহলের প্রথম আন্দোলনের সফলতা হলো এই জেহাদ। তো জেহাদ মানে যুদ্ধ, জেহাদ মানে লড়াই। তো আমরা লড়াই করে জেহাদ জয়ী হয়েছি, তার জন্য আমরা এর নাম রেখেছি জেহাদ হোসেন ওবামা।
Along with Little Jihad's baby steps, there was visible progress in the negotiations. Another symbol of this awakening was Maimuna Khatun, who lost her voting rights when she married a Bangladeshi enclave resident. Maimuna fought back, had her rights restored, and even contested elections in 2011. She lost by a huge margin, but made her point about the rights of enclave dwellers.
We interacted with the people, then only I got to understand that actually what is the complexity of enclave formation and how the life is being affected because of the enclave. After that only we realized that there are some issues which has to be resolved at the international level.
There was a change in Delhi and Dhaka too. A new generation of bureaucrats and politicians was resolute about resolving this long-standing tangle. Progress, stagnant for decades, was now flowing again. In the enclaves, doubts persisted. Pacts had come and gone before in 1958, 1974, 1986 and 1992. Would things be different this time?
The biggest challenge that we faced in the time from 2014 till 2015 was building awareness of what the protocol and the agreement actually meant, securing the free and full consent of all the state governments that were involved, which were directly impacted by this, and then for the External Affairs Minister to actually pilot this bill through Parliament.
Now all that was needed was the will to accept uneven transfer of land. In 2015, with a new government in Delhi, that bold final step was in place. On the 7th of May 2015, India's Parliament ratified the draft treaty originally framed in 1974. In India's Parliament, there was not a single objecting vote. Not just the government of the day, but all of India put humanity ahead of territory.
While it may appear like a loss of territory, such loss is illusory. Humanity will win. Today when this August House unanimously adopts this amendment, humanity will be champion.
Those in favor may say aye, those against may say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it.
South Asia had shown the world how to negotiate the complex maze of border disputes with magnanimity and grace. India had held fast to its policy of neighborhood first.
भारत और बांग्लादेश के बीच लैंड बाउंड्री एग्रीमेंट, क्या ये सिर्फ जमीन विवाद का समझौता हुआ है? अगर किसी को ये लगता है कि 2-4 किलोमीटर जमीन इधर गई और 2-4 किलोमीटर जमीन उधर गई, ये वो समझौता नहीं है। ये समझौता दिलों को जोड़ने वाला समझौता है। दुनिया जमीन के लिए लड़ती हो, मरती हो, लेकिन हम दो देश हैं जो जमीन को ही हमारे संबंधों का सेतु बना करके खड़ा कर देते हैं।
Behind the jubilation, there was much to be done. 70 years ago, the redrawing of a map had led to the sorrow and bloodshed of partition. This time, with enlightened governments and empowered citizens, it was very different. People's needs were given primacy.
অনেক লড়াই করেছি, অনেক আন্দোলন করেছি, অনেক অনশন হয়েছে, কিন্তু তারপরে আমাদের স্বাধীনতা, কোনো দুঃখ ভুলে আনন্দ, দুঃখ সব ভুলে গেছি এই মশাল জ্বালিয়ে।
Things began moving rapidly. Decisions moved from distant legislatures to the immediate neighborhood. Which country would each enclave dweller qualify for? Who would opt to go where?
Obviously, when you have a change in the alignment of the boundary, the maps have to change. And both sides have to agree that this is the interpretation of the provision of the agreement or the protocol when it is translated into paper, this is how it will look like. We signed this document in June 2015, and we promised each other that we would complete it by June 2016. So we had literally 12 months within which to complete this.
Officials in both countries spread out through the enclaves to take head counts and conduct surveys. The Bangladesh Deputy High Commissioner's visit symbolized the transition, once he and the villagers had been compatriots in Bangladesh. Now the enclave was part of India and the officer an honored guest, yet a close friend.
মধ্যমশালডাঙ্গায় কখনো যে আসতে পারবো আগে তো কখনো ভাবিনি 68 বছর ধরে প্রজন্মের পর প্রজন্ম অপেক্ষা করেছিল এই দিনটির জন্য হয়তো এতদিনের অমীমাংসিত একটা ইস্যু শেষ পর্যন্ত মীমাংসিত হলো
Borders may have shifted, but the bonds shaped by millennia of shared history would endure. After the details were announced, many found themselves in a different country. Some opted to leave their homes in order to remain in India. Most, though, stayed where they were, the land of their ancestors.
2011 সালে যে হেড কাউন্টিং হয়, হেড কাউন্টের ফলে 10 থেকে 16 জুলাই যে আমাদের যৌথ গণনা হয়, সেখানে আমার ছবি নথিভুক্ত হয়। হওয়ার পরে আমরা 31 জুলাই মধ্যরাত 12টার পরে ওরা হয় বাংলাদেশি, আমরা হই নতুন ভারতীয়। তখন আমি আমার এই ট্রাভেল পাস পাই।
After the preparations, the lists, the notifications, the day arrived for those who had decided to move to India. They carried what they could, but most precious were the hopes they bore for a new future. At last, they were free from the uncertainty that had shadowed their lives for generations.
We have a process by which we develop any place, provide them the rights which they deserve. They are going to get some, permanent accommodation. They will get a flat for which we have already made our plan. We are going to purchase land, build a house and give it to them. Secondly is to provide them, putting them into the system of, what we are following, whether it is a social system or any other administrative mechanism. Now since they have already got integrated with the part of India, now they are eligible for any other scheme which is applicable to any other citizen of this country. Naturally, that floodgate has been opened.
Starting life afresh is never easy. For those who had chosen to leave their homes and join their fortunes to India, there were basics to be taken care of. Shelter first. Camps were built to provide dignified housing for the period of transition. The Government of India extended financial support to enable the West Bengal government to meet these requirements. There was regular and effective coordination between the state and union governments as these matters were addressed. Besides shelter, the families needed to be fed till they could find their own footing. All these new Indian citizens were provided cooked meals for 1 month. Then they naturally wanted their own familiar food and individual kitchens started up their fires. One step closer to normalcy. Next comes land, a lifeline for farmers. The government is in the process of identifying and acquiring land, which will then be transferred to our new compatriots. There is also the matter of livelihoods. Interestingly, many of the migrants are not exactly waiting for a permanent address. Monica Murmu has set up a grocery store for residents' basic needs. Krishna Sarkar has invested in an electric rickshaw and provides transportation services. These are just 2 examples of entrepreneurship in the camps.
আমি ওখানে কিছু করতাম না, এখানে ছোটখাটো ব্যবসা করতেছি। আমার দোকানে বেচা বিক্রি 1500 টাকার মতো হয়, লাভ আসে 1 থেকে 150।
As the former enclaves emerged from the shadows into light, the children may not have noticed the change. Yet, they will grow up with a sense of freedom, with opportunities that their parents could never have had.
A stateless person who is not recognized by anybody has got a recognition. Now he says that my motherland is this country. Yeah, he says that I belong to this country. Now imagine a house located in an enclave. That house doesn't have any address. We provided them the PIN code number for the first time.
With this recognizable symbol of permanence, the national identity of Potur Kuti was complete.
আর এখন তো আরেকটা হয়েছে হ্যালো হ্যালো বাস ওই সিঁড়ি খামে আসতে এসে যে টাকাটা হয় তার সে 1-2 টাকাতে হ্যালো হয়ে গেল। তাই খামে সরকারি অনুদানগুলো চিঠিপত্রগুলো আসে প্রয়োজনীয়, হ্যাঁ, আর এমনিতে ওই হ্যালো দিয়ে হয়ে যায়। কি
নাম কি?
মোহাম্মদ আব্দুল আজিজ।
কত বয়স আছে আপনার?
The land boundary agreement is not the achievement of any one department or ministry, it is the achievement of a nation as a whole. There are 2 steps to it. One is actually negotiating the agreement and signing the protocol. And the second is actually putting this through a parliamentary process of consultation, trying to bring about consensus, and finally having the Land Boundary Act approved unanimously in Parliament. And I think MEA had the good fortune to coordinate and lead that team effort, but it was certainly something that everybody was involved with.
ঠিক আছে, আমরা সমাজ কল্যাণ দপ্তরের একটা পেনশন স্কিম আছে দেখছি, ইলেকশনের পরে ওগুলো করা যায়।
Life was changing in other ways too. Something that most of us take for granted is access to the local administration. But enclave residents saw little of that till the accord came into force.
পরে যখন পপুলেশন বাড়বে তখন প্রাইমারি স্কুল হবে, আর প্রাইমারি স্কুল হলে আমাদের পোলিং স্টেশন করা যাবে, তখনকার ব্যাপার।
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the and so high, like a diamond in the sky.
The new citizens now have free access to the many welfare programs of the Indian state. For young children, Anganwadi centers provide support with healthcare, supplementary nutrition, and preschool education.
যখনই খাওয়াবো তখনই পরিষ্কার পরিচ্ছন্ন করতে হবে, বাচ্চাদের পোলিও ডিপিটি প্রতিষেধকগুলো সবগুলো দিতে হবে। তাহলে আমাদের যে ব্যক্তিগত পরিষ্কার পরিচ্ছন্নতা, যেটা আমার পরিবার পরিষ্কার পরিচ্ছন্ন থাকবে, তাহলে আমার কোনো অসুবিধা না, অসুখ বিসুখ হবে না।
Work in rural areas is often hard to come by. The former enclave dwellers are now entitled to the benefits of the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, probably the world's most ambitious economic security and public works program.
From district administration side, we have already started identifying people to integrate them under National Livelihood Mission, where the skill development will be a main focus. In future, there are plans for development of industry close by, integrate them in the existing industrial setup.
Many other projects were initiated. Women were assisted to set up self-help groups. The traditional skill of Sheetal Pati received a boost. As these initiatives were gathering momentum, came the announcement for elections in the state of West Bengal. Several programs were halted to conform to India's tough electoral code of conduct. Surely, the people were disappointed.
आज का दिन तो पहली बार है, ये हमारा साल में 2 बार ईद आता है, आज 3 बार आएगा।
On the contrary, they were elated because they finally got a chance to participate in the most sacred ritual of democracy. Voting day was something that they had only dreamt of. And happiest of all was 103-year-old Asghar Ali.
बहुत अच्छा लगा, दादा पहली बार वोट दिया, को भी बहुत अच्छा लगा। ग्रैंड मदर में पहले टाइम ভোট দেয়া, তো बहुत ही अच्छा लगता है। আমরা 3 জেনারেল একসঙ্গে ভোট দিতে পারবো, আমরা এটা কোনোদিন ভাবতেও পারিনি।
আমরা
আমরা তখন থেকে বহুবার হাই কমিশনে আছে, হাই কমিশনারকে বলছিলাম, সব জায়গায় ডিএম অফিসে দেওয়া আছে, ডিএজিকে দেওয়া আছে।
Despite the enormous efforts, there are still problems that remain. Some families have been separated by the new borders.
স্বামী ছাড়া থাকতে কি বাচ্চা কাচ্চা নিয়ে তো আসি, তবু ভালো লাগে না। স্বামী যদি না থাকে তার জীবনটা ব্যথায় না, কিভাবে ভালো লাগে?
Parents like Sapna Rani are willing to endure the difficulties because her children now have unprecedented opportunities for education, for progress. Of the nearly 1,000 enclave dwellers who had formally decided to move to India, several did not show up for the transition. Going the extra mile, the Indian government conducted an additional round of opinions and learnt that emotional bonds are hard to break.
জন্মভূমিতে যদি আমাদের মৃত্যু হয় এটাও ভালো, কিন্তু তথাপিও আর ভারত আমরা যাব না।
আমি যেতে চাই না। আমাদের মাতৃভূমি এখানে, আমার জন্মস্থান এখানে, বাবা মা আছে, আত্মীয় স্বজন আছে, বন্ধু বান্ধব আছে।
আমি যে কোনো মতিভ্রমে নামটা দিয়ে দিয়েছি, এখন সবাই মরিয়া হয়ে কাঁদছে।
All are now proud citizens of Bangladesh, a choice that we respect. After all, they symbolize that this is an accord of equals. Two nations maturely dropping their differences and working together for the benefit of the people.
Some of the people we could not contact, their whereabouts is also not known, so we have to leave it at that.
In the former enclaves, life is fast returning to normal. The old ways go on, finding equilibrium with the new. Yet, in ways that outsiders can never understand, everything is changed. History becomes lines on a map, but only when time or distance has erased the joys and sorrows of the human condition. While in the making, history is the story of people, of individuals, dreaming magnificent dreams and waiting patiently for borders to dissolve, for humanity to triumph.
ভোট দিলাম অনেকদিন পরে ভোট দিয়ে দেশের নাগরিক এলাম। এই আল্লাহ দয়া করে থাকি।